on me. Promise that you'll never be lonely.
Hey everybody, Backyard Buffalo here. Are you ready to rip this up? Okay, let's get into it. Alright, today we are going to be covering heroes. So, as you can see, when you first open the game, your main menu, your dashboard pops up. You click these top 3 bars here with the exclamation mark. You click on Heroes, which is at the very top right corner. And as you can see, these are all of my characters. Now, as you can tell, if you click over here to the left, you can sort your characters by different aspects, either level, power, rank, stars, and team. So, I'm gonna go with the roles because that is what I'm going to be covering today. Now, we are going to start off with the tanks since they're at the top. Now, if you don't know what a tank is and you're new to the game, a tank is a very important part of any team. I find they're the most important because your tank is basically the character who stands in front of everything and takes all the damage for your higher damage dealers. So you can have up to 2 tanks on your team. Some people only run 1. If you have like a super strong tank, which is a very high health and doesn't take much damage, some of the characters have shields. We'll get into that in a second. And the different characters have different abilities. So we're going to start with Olaf. He is by far one of my most favorite tanks that I have. Now, if you pop up your skill bar here, if you click the skills button, as you can see, there's stats where you can level up your character, check how many stars. You can also go here if you want to get more chips to give your character more stars, which is very important. It gives, when you have the stars, it gives your character a boost in all their stats in general. Now usually tanks, they go for health, but if you go over here, this is your items, so you can check to see what items you need to build to level up your characters through the different colors. If you don't know, there's different colors before you get to orange and purple. You start out with green, you go up 2 levels, you go to blue, and then you go up 2 levels with that as well, and then you get to purple, where you have to go through 4 levels of purple to get to orange, which is where a lot of my characters are currently at. Now, we're going to go into Olaf with his skills. So, we're going to start this up. Olaf forms a small blizzard around himself, freezing all nearby enemies for 4 seconds and healing himself up to 21,647 health. Now, can you imagine just freezing a whole team? We'll show you some examples after a bit. Now, on a roll, Olaf dodges a melee attack and releases a frost cloud that freezes and damages enemies for 6,000 damage over 7 seconds. Olaf can only dodge an attack every 7 seconds. So basically he just takes his head off and rolls around and dodges the attack. Now, you go to build a snowman. If you see, when the first time Olaf is reduced to 0 HP, he gains 300 energy and heals for 44,073. So basically, once Olaf dies, he comes back to life at full health and keeps slapping you and freezing you, which is very awesome. Snowed in. After enemies are frozen by any source, their movement attack speed is slowed by 15% for 4 seconds. So, it seems like a really good kit. That's because it is. So we're gonna move on to the next tank, which is Mr. Incredible. He basically is very strong. He's a good secondary tank. He's not as strong in health as the other tanks that I have. He has more damage, mostly because of his ability at the bottom. If you click there, it says HALE and HEARTY. Mr. Incredible gains an extra 41,000 max HP. Super duper. This is the damage right here. Once Mr. Incredible falls below 50% HP, his attack speed is increased by 400%. Now, basically that means he just starts smashing the hell out of everything once he gets to 15%. Grand Slam, he jumps up and smashes the ground in the back line usually and just damages everything, which is really good for taking out your marksman characters that your enemy team would have. And another one of my favorites is Goofy. This guy is just awesome. He just came out not too long ago. He's only been out for maybe a month. I've been working hard at leveling him up, and he's actually really awesome. So basically, Goofy pops up a disco ball, blinds you for 13 seconds, and reduces your attack speed by 150%. He also gives himself a shield that reduces damage. He also has an ability called 2 left feet, which Goofy dodges the next attack and counter dances, dealing 18,800 damage. He can also counterattack every 8 seconds. And another one is he also heals himself and gives himself a shield for 40,000. And he also heals his team members, which is quite awesome. I really like him. He's a new character, and yeah, he's pretty much as nerfed, or he's not as nerfed. So Goofy is an overall very strong character. He is pretty buffed right now, probably because he's new. But I hope they don't nerf him because he's quite well-rounded and he's quite a good aspect to the team, and he's very good as a main tank. Our next tank is Chief Bogo. He is very strong from the Zootopia line. He has awesome skills. He's got shields, he charges you and knocks you back. He also has a blind, which blinds you for a certain amount of seconds, so there's a very high chance that you're going to miss attacks. Your enemy is going to miss attacks. He grants himself a shield that is 32,000 that expires after 5 seconds, but that pops up every 4 or 5 seconds. The shield just keeps popping up. Once you get it a bit higher level, the shield just keeps regenerating and regenerating, so it basically makes it so you never drop the shield. So if you look here, if you click here and look, it says heal up. Chief Bogo now heals 12,000 HP every time his Serve and Protect shields takes damage. So basically, what the enemy team is doing to Chief Bogo is smashing his shield, making it so he goes back to full health, so he can take more damage and hold the line very well. When he's in the front line, basically nobody moves. Well, we'll show you some examples here in a bit. Another one of my favorites is Sully and Boo. Now they've nerfed him a little bit over the last. They dropped his healing laughter because his healing was just healing so many. He makes it so if you get a friendship card, we'll get into that in another video. The healing laughter basically heals you to full health every 10 seconds. So if you hold off for 10 seconds, it heals you to full health. It also heals a friend. He does great amounts of damage, and as you can tell, his scream, which is scaring is caring, it does fantastic damage. Now, fantastic damage, there's different kinds of damage also. There's fantastic damage, there's regular damage, and there's crit damage. So the fantastic is more of the crit damage. The normal damage is more of a general damage, which is not applied to shields, and the true damage pierces through shields. So you also want to keep that in mind once you're looking at these skills. So what I would recommend is that you take the time to click on all of the character's skills, make sure you read them thoroughly, and if you go through and read all of the character skills, you'll find that some characters have skills, and you'll find that other characters will go well with that character as well. And I'll give you another example of one of my favorite tanks that I have. It's the Queen of Hearts. She is actually very strong. We're going to check out her skills quick here. So, Shuffle. The Queen of Hearts orders her playing cards to shuffle her enemies, swapping 2 enemies the farthest apart from each other and stunning them for 5 seconds. So basically what she does is takes your tank, throws it into the back, and takes your damage dealer and throws them into the front to get killed, and stuns them for 5 seconds. We'll show you some action clips afterwards. So, and I got one more I'll give you Fix-It Felix. Here we go. Now, Fix-It Felix, he basically, I'm not a huge fan, but he is a very good character for a secondary tank. Mostly he just sits there and hammers himself, which heals him, as you recall if you've watched the movie. And he brings out the nice landers to carry the front line away, which is very helpful in certain situations. But he's a little squishy. He does heal himself very quick, but he's kind of squishy, which means he doesn't have as much health as other tanks would. Alright, now that I've explained to you about tanks, we're going to move on to damage dealers. Now, damage dealers, those are your main sources of damage. These damage dealers, that you can either be a marksman damage or a melee damage. So the marksman damage, they're going to be your backline. They're going to be the ones that do massive amounts of damage and crits, which take your health down from like top to like start to finish real fast. So some of my favorite damage dealers is Stitch here. Stitch is very awesome. He has 4 arms. If you look at this, if you check out this, he also dances. There you go. 4 guns. Check it out. So that's his special. It's called the 626 Shuffle. He blasts the enemy 4 times, and it basically bursts one target down very quickly because he shoots them 4 times and they all crit. Now, another skill that he has is once he gets below 50% health, he jumps onto the first target that is in front of him and steals over half of his health. He is an overall great damage dealer. He is actually my strongest damage that I have. He is very good at bursting down, as I said before, and he is also good for sustain because once he gets below half health, he pounces on a person, steals half of their health, and gives it to himself. Now, on to the next character, which is Moana. Now, this is probably the most broken character in this entire game. I will be completely honest with you, and yes, it is in my top characters. Now, she is a very, very strong damage dealer. So, not only does she have a super strong shield, 20,000 shield for 6 seconds, and Moana also gains 200 attack speed, which basically means you're getting whacked with this ore like 200 miles an hour, okay? Now, into the fray. When Moana falls below 50% HP, she jumps into the air, smacking someone with the ore for 24,000 damage, okay? Now, when she gets below half health, she just pops her shield back up, and Love and Protect, which is her next skill, heals her back to full health. Okay, so not only do you got the shield that is massive and you can't take down, that procs every 6 seconds, she keeps going back to full health no matter how much you hit her down. Now, I'll give you guys a tip. You guys see a Moana, the best way to take Moana down, actually the only way to take Moana down, is having someone with a freeze ability, such as Elsa. We got Elsa, we got Olaf, good for freezing. Freeze teams, definitely take Moana down. If you don't have anything that does, if you have nothing that freezes, I recommend you try to grind the hero chips to get something that freezes. WALL-E is also another really good freeze character. And Frozone, which, yeah, you would have a freeze character because he's one of the first characters that you obtain. Frozone is very good. He's good for freezing enemies and doing lots of damage. Now, I will show you another melee character, and I'll show you another range character. Now, Korra is a melee character. She does a lot of damage very fast. Now, got her light cycle. She comes in every round, she comes in on her bike, dealing 9,000 damage to everybody that is, and becomes untargetable. So she comes in, hits everybody with her bike, deals a buttload of damage. Then you got Disc Ricochet. She throws her disc, doing 10,000 damage to the first enemy, and then it bounces and hits another 2 enemies, dealing 7,000 damage. And Grid Power. Each of Disc Spin does bonus damage equal of 8% of the target's max HP. So basically, between her slicing and dicing and throwing her disc and it bouncing off of everything, it basically just hacks everybody to bits. Now, another one of my favorite characters is Merida. She's a very good burst character. Her special ability is GAELIC Volley. Merida fires 8 arrows at enemies, dealing 10,000 damage with each arrow. So basically, she jumps up in the air, launches a bunch of arrows that takes everybody out. And I've seen so many Meridas basically burst down like there's no tomorrow. Her on-target ability deals 24,000 damage to up to 3 enemies. So she is very, very strong. I am trying to level her up higher than she is right now. Another very strong damage dealer is Zurg. Now, mind you, he is a very squishy character, but if you get your energy built up, the energy is what you use to use your special abilities, which is Zurg Fury. And also Ion Blaster. Ion Blaster fires rapidly until he runs out of energy. Each shot deals 4,000 damage to every enemy on their team. This character if you play it correctly and put it in a right team, which I will show you, makes it so you can basically mow down entire teams within seconds. Now, another character that I can show you is Calhoun. Calhoun blasts the backline, has a grenade that you throw into the backline as well. She's very good for taking out backline, and she also stands at the other end of the map, so she's a lot harder to kill. So, if you pair her with some good tanks that are way up in the front, such as Chief Bogo and Mr. Incredible, she barely gets hit at all, and she basically blows up the enemy team. Now, I highly recommend that you, like I said before, to read all the skills of all your characters. Now, we will get into more damage characters, and I will also teach you about support and control characters in the next video. So, on that note, I hope you guys had a good time, and if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Hope you have a good evening. Glad we could rip it up Buffalo style.
Promise that you'll never be lonely. Be a fan, that's what they call me. Promise that you'll never be lonely.